Capital Region.
Thank you.
Quick thing that we're going to talk about a little bit later, these cards are up in front and may have already been mailed to you. They are not only talking about the rest of this wonderful series that's going on, but it also has the 2023 festival lineup, which is in June. Mark your calendars. It's going to be amazing. I'm not saying that only because I'm married to the executive director.
Why are you saying it?
Might have something to do with it, but it's not the only reason. In any case, it may be cold and blustery outside, but you're about to get a warm, wonderful, great big virtual hug. Please welcome Claudia Schmidt.
Thank you. Now this is the counterintuitive thing of a live stream, is that because basically we are unplugged in this hall, so my instinct would be to go and stand at the mic. But so the thing is I have to stay out of the way of the mic so that you can see me and so that it all works. So that's my challenge for tonight. I just want you to know that my brain is a little occupied. There's one little part of my brain that's occupied with that.
Okay, you're forgiven.
Thank you. I'm going to start with a song that came out of a dream many years ago. I did come upon a river of tears, the grief of my sisters and brothers. It had grown so deep, I could not cross over to continue on my journey. It was wild and black, and it threw out a spray that stained my garments blood red. I was filled with fear, I was filled with pain, and I thought I would never cross over. I did build a raft from the bones of my mother who had drowned in that river of sorrow. I did bind those bones, oh, one to another, with the ropes of the captives now free. I did steer that raft with a long straight pole from a tree that my father had planted. And I set off into that treacherous flow with a trembling hope in my heart. And as I crossed that angry stream, I looked in the water all swirling, and it showed me the faces of the ones I had killed by refusing to fight for their freedom. And it showed me the faces of the ones who had died while trying to end the struggles. And their voices cried out, "Get to the shore and continue the work we've begun." And the water it dragged, and the water it pulled, and the pain it threatened to drown me. But I held my course and bore down on the pole from the tree that my father had planted. And I fell exhausted onto the shore as the raft splintered all into pieces. Then a smile came to my weary face, for I heard those voices singing songs like tears, songs like rivers. I have carried them all on my journey, and it's these I'll sing until that river runs as dry as the bones of my mother. And it's these I'll sing until that river's but a valley where sorrow once raged. Speaking of rage, I was in somewhat of a state thereof today, driving over here about certain people who decided to call this day a day of hate. So there's only one way to counter that, and that's sing out with love. They're using language in a vicious and poisonous way, but we can use language in a powerful and healing and loving way. In the 1800s, and that's my point, it's like 'twas ever thus. This is nothing new with humanity. We're a deeply flawed species. In the late 1800s, a Swiss philosopher named Henri Frederick Amiel wrote these words. And my friend saw them in a chapel in Pomfret, Connecticut, near where I live now, and came home and wrote them on the blackboard in the old schoolhouse where my husband and I were living at the time. And I looked at them for, I don't know, a couple months maybe, and one day this whole musical thing jumped out at me like a madrigal in my head, one person. And you know, one person can't sing a madrigal. So I quick called Sally, who only lived 2 miles away, and I said, get over here before I kill myself. And so she came running over, and we figured it out, and I ended up recording it. And I usually, this is something I do at the end of the night, but because of what I heard today, I want to do it like right now, because it's important that we get these words out there. So I'm going to sing it through, and I'm going to line out what the madrigal parts are. And I'm going to sing it through again, and you can jump in on some of the madrigal parts, or sing what I'm singing, or just make something up. There are no wrong notes in this song, or words. Dear friends, we know that life is short, and we do not have much time, much time, much time, much time, much time, much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel with us. We sing that together. Of those who travel with us. So be swift to love, to love. So be swift, oh my God, to love. Make haste to be kind. Sing that together. Make haste to be kind. I got goosebumps. Dear friends, we know that life is short, and we do not have much time, much time, much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel with us. So be swift to love, so be swift to love. Make haste to be kind. So be swift to love, so be swift to love. Make haste to be kind. Once more. So be swift to love, so be swift to love. Make haste to be kind. Yeah. All right. Well, I made a recording in 2020, and it came out just in time for the lockdown. So I'm going to play the title song from that because it involved a trip to an emergency room. That's something I recommend as an opportunity to write songs, but it's where you find yourself. And I dropped a large piece of oak firewood on my foot and was leaving on a trip. Wanted to make sure it wasn't broken, and so I'm in that mode you're in the ER, just waiting. And the text came and went, and suddenly this woman walks in, sweeps through the door. I assumed she was a doctor. She was wearing a white coat and a stethoscope. She did not say a word to me. She walks up to me. She puts her stethoscope on my chest, and only then looks at me and says, "You have a slow, steady heart." And then she turned around and walked out. That was it. I didn't even know her name. I would have thought I was hallucinating if Mark hadn't been there with me. And You know, when I think back on it, there are two ways I could have gone, because we do live in these vitriolic times. I could have said at that point, well, guess what, lady? That's not what I'm here for. Right? I could have gone there. But instead, I just lay there on the gurney going, oh. Really? And it was kind of glorious. It was, so something had to happen with that moment. It ended up right here. Slow, steady, slow, steady, slow, steady, slow, steady heart. That's what the lady doctor said to me when I showed up for an emergency. It was a pretty nasty injury. The pain and swelling I could feel and see. Oh, but what I heard, see, was you have a slow, steady heart. What does it mean to have a steady heart when our whole world seems to be falling apart? What does it mean that it is beating slow in spite of pain and everything I know? Oh, it's a mighty mystery. I have a slow, steady heart. Slow, steady, slow, steady, slow, steady, slow, steady heart. Sometimes the thing we really need to hear slips unexpectedly into our ear, where time and place have not prepared us for the very news to make our spirits soar. Well, here's breaking news for free. I have a slow, steady heart. Well, even in the middle of the lockdown, I trusted that someday I would be singing this song with other humans again. And I wanted to have a part for you when that time came. So it goes like this. Slow, steady, slow, steady, slow and steady, slow and steady heart. My swollen foot will take some time to heal, but that dear woman helped me keep it real. Oh, she said almost tenderly, you have a slow, steady heart. Here we go now, slow and steady. one of the things that makes me really happy is when a song takes on a function, and I've had 3 or 4 friends tell me that they put that song on their playlist when they were going into the hospital for some kind of cardiac procedure. So that makes me very happy. So the lockdown happened, and at the very beginning, of course, we didn't know anything about anything. It was right around this time, in the winter of 2020, and it was all about fomites. We thought it was surfaces. We were scrubbing our groceries, and we were to never, ever, ever touch our faces again. And one friend said, "I can't believe my hands would end up consuming more alcohol than my mouth." And so we were just like, terrified. And so I'm reaching for my beloved's face one day, and he said, "Don't touch my face." And you see, I was going into this, I was kind of in an altered state right then, and I was waking up in the middle of the night in these agitated, almost like fever dream states. And so that night I woke up, and out of that line that he said, I wrote this whole thing. I thought it was a poem. And I got up in the morning and I looked at it, and I said, no, this is a tango. I got up in the middle of the night and I wrote a tango. So this is my, my contribution to songs about lust in the time of COVID, called the Don't Touch My Face Tango. You stepped into my room, my every molecule's on fire. You take me in your arms and I am molten with desire. Your clever hands commence their dance with mischief, art, and grace. Just don't touch my face. That's your part. Just don't touch my face. You've the power to melt my heart with just one longing look. You're 50 movies wrapped in one. You're better than the book. You whisper in my ear and I'm beyond all time and place. Just don't touch my face. Don't touch my face. I see you reaching. Don't touch my face. I am beseeching. You can touch me almost any place. Just don't touch my face. You're sweet incendiary, and I tremble when you're near. You never fail to thrill me with your beauty, wit, and cheer. You're moving close, I'm helpless now, my blood, my passion race. Just don't touch my face. Don't touch my face. Oh, darling, please don't touch my face. Don't touch my, don't touch your, don't touch my face. COVID, I would have never written that song. And if I hadn't fallen in love later in life, I would have never written this next song either. Never did I dream it possible or probable, and it's been a surprising and humbling and wonderful thing. And what I find really amusing is when people say to me, God, well, if it can happen to you, maybe it can happen to me. So I like to be a standard bearer, I guess, for true love. And so here's a song for that. Pretty red hearts everywhere you go. Love is in the air, they say. Roses by the dozen, they're a steal, you know. For deals abound on Valentine's Day. But when the flowers have all been sent and the money's all been spent, well, that's the time for me to say, will you be my sweet post-valentine after the roses droop? When they take down all those ruffly signs and Cupid's flown the coop, no more surf and turf for two, no more heart-shaped bed. I'd still like to dine alone with you and lie down toe to head. Will you be the one who hangs around after the schmaltz is gone, happy with a quiet, sweeter sound that calmly lingers on? I want no jaunt to Zanzibar, no getaway half price. I just want to be right where you are, your kiss, my paradise. Will you be my sweetheart after all, right now and just enough? Let's just ditch those tricks and charms and thrall. That's not the lasting stuff. No more smoke and mirrors here. That's not how I'm inclined. I just want to love you plain and clear. Please be my post-valentine, my sweet post-valentine. Well, one of the joys about living in that schoolhouse during the lockdown that I mentioned is it was in a beautiful place in the country, and there was a lot of time to get to know the birds and the flora and fauna of my own backyard, something that I haven't in my traveling life and I haven't always taken time to do. So this is a new song. It was inspired by, I was never around Carolina wrens really until living in Connecticut. And so that summer, we had a geranium planter hanging up, and I learned about how wrens are very opportunistic and how they pick a place to build a nest. And I suddenly saw this bird flying in and out of the geranium planter, and I got Mark and said, am I hallucinating, or just like my reality check, or is this really happening? And so it turns out, yes, they were building a nest. And so then I was like, I tried not to water the plant, but not kill the plant, you know, while they had the, and I was there the day the babies fledged, the hatching of the eggs, and it was just such an amazing experience to witness. So we moved, and last fall, and the geranium amazingly survived, and it's doing quite well. And all that wren poop, I guess. And so something happened last fall that was so exciting that I stayed up all night and wrote a song about it. And I'm going to play that for you now. It's brand new. I love it. You know the Carolina wren. I mean, I love them so much. I go out, I hear them, and I go, Rennie, it's Rennie. I don't think they're impressed. The day is gently dimming, the bees have gone to bed. The hummingbirds had their nightcaps on, but now they too have fled. We sit and chatter quietly, contentedly in bed. We're joined by a Carolina wren. shelter through the night. This bird divides the perfect spot under flowers out of sight. She flies right in with certainty, just as if it's always been the bedroom of this Carolina wren. Now we don't know how long she'll stay. We're happy she's around. It's been 3 nights and counting, so we'll listen for that sound each night as darkness falls, and we'll be delighted when there's a visit from the Carolina wren. There's a lovely red geranium just above the little cranium of our sweet sleeping Carolina wren. Thank you. Oh, on to more birds. Let's do some birdie stuff here. Several winters ago, I was in my backyard listening to 2 chickadees calling back and forth to each other. And after a while, I realized they were calling in those same intervals, and they were a minor third, half step apart. A little like jangy for a repeatedly perky bird. You know, this, like normally chickadees are, their call is a major second. That's most chickadees, if you listen and think about that, it's a major second. So a minor third is not a real common, but then a minor third, half step apart. Ooh. So I came in the house, I had a piano, and I figured out what those notes were and started building some chords around it. And the way I describe it is I sort of accidentally took a journey into the dark side of chickadeedom. And so, give you a little perspective when we look out at those little heroic little birdies on cold, snowy nights. Oh, puffed up. I got me a black cat, but that don't keep me warm when I get blown around in this winter storm. I got to find me some humans who know what I go through to help me fight off these Chickadee blues. The summer's a banquet of berry and bud, enough to stuff any Chickadee's mouth. Come winter, it takes everything I can do to stay ahead of these Chickadee blues. When my little feathered body barely makes it through the night and has to start from scratch in the morning light, people like me around, they think I'm cheery and choice, but old Miles put my song in his mad trumpet's voice. Some other birds, they fly off to a tropical view, no wonder I got these Chickadee blues. You know each new winter night recreates my need for about 250 sunflower seeds. You know that's a fact. Now you can make me your state bird, you can call me a friend. I will land on the hand that you kindly extend, and if I make it through the night, I'll brighten up your day and hide my Chickadee blues away. I will try and hide these Chickadee blues away. I love that this room has chandeliers. When I was a kid, does anybody remember Stuckey's rest areas? They were like this yellow sort of chalet thing, and the signs would say, "Stop at Stuckey's." And underneath it would say, "Sparkling restrooms." So I used to have this fantasy, that you walk into that stupid little fiberglass Swiss chalet-shaped building or whatever, and walk through the lobby, and then you open the bathroom door, and inside would be women in ball gowns, and they'd all be swirling. I still have that fantasy in my head as a child. So, I guess I was destined for this life, huh? Well, I'm going to play another Chickadee song, and I don't think I've ever performed this song before because it was written as a dare. When I lived in Minnesota, it would have been December of 2011. I just moved there the previous summer, and a friend of mine alerted me to an ornithologist up in northern Minnesota in early December that he had caught a chickadee and that was banded, and he recognized the chickadee because he himself had banded it 11 and a half years earlier. So he called it the oldest chickadee on earth. So I called this friend of mine who had a news program on a community radio station, and I said, "I have a news story for you. The oldest chickadee on earth is up in northern Minnesota, and you should do a story on it." And he said, "No, only if the chickadee killed somebody or robbed a bank or something." Being a savvy news person. So he said, "Okay, I'll call the guy. I'll interview the guy if you write a song about it." So it took me. I kind of came up with something, but that was years ago. And I finally kind of figured out how it actually goes. But the wonderful thing was I got to be in the studio while he was interviewing the ornithologist. It was so great. He was asking all about the ornithologist, what he does, the specific work, and then he said, "Well, why do you do this?" And there was this pause, and the ornithologist said, "For the wonder of it." But when I was thinking of how do I write a song about the oldest chickadee on earth, I pondered it a while, and I thought the old sort of freak show thing. Okay, the oldest chickadee on earth! Come and see! Line up, ladies and gentlemen! The oldest chickadee on earth! So that was what provoked this song. Seen the tattooed ladies and the torso-bonded twins. They poke their heads beneath the hoods, hiding deviant scenes within. They've seen it all with guts unclenched, a smidgen too of mirth. How then to reconcile the oldest chickadee on earth? He's the oldest chickadee on earth. That's your line. He's the oldest chickadee on earth. That's perfect. The oldest chickadee on earth, they're flocking to his cage in hopes he has some tips to share, advice both stern and sage. But though they wait with bated breath, his beak so far is sealed. His avian epiphanies have yet to be revealed. He's the oldest chickadee on earth. We've seen a snake devour a pig, the mantis chomp her mate, the oily politician rise from lies to potentate. Anomalies may titillate, and freaks for all their worth just simply cannot trump the oldest chickadee on earth. He's the oldest chickadee on earth. Oh. So bring him seed of sunflower and praise his graceful age, and praise the ornithologist with his means to clearly gauge. Although I know we may anthropomorphize, still may have the oldest chickadee on earth just wants a little nap. He's the oldest chickadee on earth. Shh. He's the oldest chickadee. Can't you see he needs some sleep? He's the oldest chickadee. trying out some of these bird songs. If you're in Minneapolis next May, on May 21st, at Crooner's Lounge, Restaurant and Lounge, I'm part of a 4-person show. Dan Schwinard and Ann Reed and Joan Griffith and myself are doing an entire concert of bird songs called Ornithopia. Saturday afternoon, May 21st. So looking forward to that. When I was in Minneapolis last fall, I got to be part of a celebration for the life of Peter Ostrushko, who touched so many of our lives over the years in so many ways. Not just his music was one thing, one miracle, but his just very being, his personality, his just way of living. And right before that memorial, I wrote a little song in honor of him. I was just sitting around playing my dulcimer, and I got to do some recording with Peter, and I especially loved working with my dulcimer, with his mandolin and fiddle. It was just a great interweaving of sounds. So this little song came to me while I was thinking about Peter. I almost feel like, he was like looking over my shoulder a little bit. Always. So I call this Peter Walks On. Wildflowers, they pass so quickly, their sudden glory, it will not wait. You cannot plan for their perfect moment, you must just be there or be too late. Going by, going by, going by, going by, sing it with me. Going by. Change so swiftly, they crawl one moment, the next they fly. The wings of time, so cruel and heartless, they steal your children with no goodbye. Going by, going by, going by, going by, going by, going by. Truly is what you please, and not to stumble from dawn to darkness, a victim of your opportunities. Going by, 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 going by. Each word it passes into silence, each thought it seeks its life in breath. Each breath a texture in the great wind song, the wind that carries our death. Going by, 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 going by. Thank you. I'm going to wind up this first set with a topical song, and it was another COVID, I don't want to call them nightmares, but a fever dream, I guess. Well, we had just been given, this is during the great toilet paper shortage, and suddenly we saw a lot of ads for bidets on Facebook. And those little bags that women can carry when they're traveling. I forget, mine had a really funny name. I got one, but I never used it. And it just seemed too creepy. And so we were gifted a bidet by my friend Sally. She'd been, well, it was re-gifted. Her daughter had given her one, and she didn't really want it. So she asked if we wanted. I'd been to Europe. Of course I wanted a bidet. I mean, I knew from bidets. God. So we got it installed, and it was a happy night. And I woke up the next morning with this celebratory piece before we take a break. There are nice refreshments over here. I want to mention that everybody was carefully cutting so that they had a special thing so that all the pieces of cake are especially the same, or they're exactly the same size, so you don't have to worry about getting more or less than the person in front of you or behind you. So, and beverages, and I have my CDs over here and my box set, and I'll be over there hanging out, and I'll probably be over here hanging out too because some of that stuff looks pretty good. But before all of that happens, Bidet-o, Bidet-o, time has come and we got to go now. Bidet-o, bidet, my bidet, my bidet, my bidet, my bidet-o. Time has come and me got to go now. Having a bidet is a pertinent issue. Time has come and me got to go now. Save me from hoarding too much toilet tissue. Time has come and me got to go now. It will provide some hygienic traction. Time has come and me got to go now. Clean as a whistle after peristaltic action. Time has come and me got to go now. Putting my money right in the bank. Time has come and me got to go now. Instead of pumping out my septic tank. Time has come and me got to go now. Bidet-o, bidet-o. Time has come and me got to go now. Bidet-o, bidet, my bidet, my bidet, my bidet, my bidet-o. Time has come and me got to go now. Fancy ones with dryers and multiple sprayers. Time has come and me got to go now. One simple nozzle is the answer to my prayers. Time has come and me got to go now. Hey, Mr. Tallyman, see my usage dwindle. Time has come and me got to go now. Oh, paper roll instead of empty spindle. Time has come and me got to go now. One spritz, two spritz, three spritz, four. Time has come and me got to go now. Rinse off the nozzle and she's ready for more. Time has come and me got to go now. Bidet-o, bidet-o. Time has come and me got to go now. Big finale. Bidet-o, bidet, my bidet, my bidet, my bidet, my bidet-o. Time has come and me got to go now. Thank you. All right.
How we doing, folks? Isn't this amazing? Did I lie about the warm hug? So, on these incredibly informative postcards, and I mean incredibly, next Saturday, March 4th, is going to be a group. Back in the 1930s and 40s, there was a group in France called the Hot Club of France, with a guitarist named Django Reinhardt, and a violinist named Stefan Grappelli. Made him a spaghetti dinner, ask me later. Anyway, and they did a type of music. Django was Romany, and they dubbed the style of jazz gypsy jazz. And there is a group from Buffalo that is going to be here on March 4th playing this style of music. Name of them is Rhythm Future Quartet, which was actually a Django reference. So they are really hot, no pun intended. Following that, Flynn Cohen and Liz Simmons. Liz Simmons, you're going to know from a number of different groups during the year. They're doing Americana, they're doing traditional, they're doing Celtic. It's going to be mixed up. It's going to be lovely. And then Friday, March 17th. You can come here after you go to the bars, it's fine. You paint yourself green and you drink your green beer. Anyway, Myra Nahasek and Chris Newman. She is the foremost authority on Celtic harp on the planet, my humble opinion. Her husband, Chris Newman, is one of the finest guitars. If you're into Celtic music at all, he played for a time, he toured for a time with a group called the Boys of the Loch. He is also incredibly into acoustic jazz, and his last album, coming out of lockdown, is called Breaking Bach. He decided to learn by ear a whole bunch of Bach's music and apply them to steel string guitar. They're brilliant. So also not to be missed. On the back of this is all of our spring classes that are showing up. If you got up this morning and you thought to yourself, hey, self, I think I'd like to learn how to play piano accordion. Well, you can do that. So check those out. It's really, really wonderful. There are many, many people to thank. I'm just going to start by saying every time you see somebody at a station here, whether it was greeting you or feeding you or selling you stuff, these are our volunteers. And this organization does not run without them. Please give them a huge... And while you are warmly clapping, clap even louder with more gusto and from the heart for Claudia Schmidt.
So I have to say that this 2023 is the beginning of my 50th year of being a performer, being a musical performer. And I just want to say that I am so eternally indebted to Joy. I started just calling places that meant a lot to me as a baby performer, you know, coming up, places that opened up new areas and audiences for me. And Joy said yes. Not everybody has said yes, that I wanted them. So I'm officially calling this year Claude Fest. So welcome to Claude Fest. And it's going to go on the whole year and then on into 2024 too, because it was actually June of 2023, but I figure, you know, time is... So, in fact, I thought I'd start out this set with, a couple people had mentioned this song to me earlier. I just have to retune quickly. I wrote this song on the eve of my 60th birthday, and I'm also 50 years in performing, and also I'll be 70 in June. So I was like 20. I was still underage when I started playing in the bars in Chicago, and so on the eve of my 60th birthday, I was actually feeling really good, you know. And I'm not into that. You know, my friend Linda and I were talking today. We're all supposed to be fighting the disease of aging. It's every day. It's coming in. I'm getting burial stuff in the email, you know, burial services and cremation and 85 different ways to get rid of my eye bags. And I'm just so goddamn sick of it, you know? I mean, because it's like, I made it all this way, and we're supposed to be relaxed now and just kicking back and having a good time. And that's when I think about the word disease, which is really dis-ease, I mean, now, when I was in my 20s, I was suffering from disease. But not now. No wonder the young people are afraid of us, the disease of aging, like it's contagious or something. Well, it kind of is. But so I want to play this song because it was about my just feeling right, with being right where I was. And well, maybe I'll do this little poem if I can remember it. Right around that time, I was on Beaver Island, a place where I lived for 10 years, and I wrote this kind of introspective piece. This summer night has bidden me dispense with PJ finery. So here I stand before the mirror to make assessments front and rear. A girl gone wide, but not too wide. And everything still works inside. My torso's not just one big blob. My muscles still can do the job. No nips, fake lips, or tummy tucks. No Botox, perms, or liposucks. So here I stand, undyed, undead. And now I think I'll go to bed. I know you're not supposed to laugh at your own jokes, but... These tears fall more easily than they ever did before. And often unexpected things I don't question anymore. Babies laughing, sweethearts kissing, a drifter's lonely face. Countless moments that sow the seeds of gratitude and grace. These tears are the evidence of happiness. You sing that with me. These tears are the evidence of happiness. Happiness. These lines seem to be fighting for a spot upon my face. Each year before the mirror, more and more a map of place. They look just like the trip itself, twists and turns and straightaways. They show up mostly when I smile, and I smile a lot these days. These lines are the evidence of happiness. These lines are the evidence of happiness. Happiness. In the court of love, there's no judge and no jury. A lifetime of losses can't be counted in a hurry. In the court of love, there's only me, you see, and the evidence, so much evidence. This heart has been broken like the moon upon the sea, by lover and by culture, by my own inconstancy. But this heart has sung its way to joy and healed 1,000 times. So scarred and ever tender, full of melody and rhymes. This heart is the evidence evidence of happiness. Oh, this heart is the evidence of happiness. Happiness. This life has not found its worth on the stairway to success, reveling more in alleyways and scenic routes, I guess. But the company's spectacular, and the company's the best. And I will travel fearlessly till I'm happily at rest. Oh, this life is the evidence of happiness. This life is the evidence of happiness. This heart, oh, this heart is the evidence. These lines are the evidence. These tears are the evidence of happiness. Happiness. At the end of Black History Month. I remember when Dick Gregory said, yeah, they finally gave us a month, but it's the shortest month. Now I'm sure Ron DeSantis would just like to get rid of the month entirely because now it's been tainted with the idea of Black history. I'm going to do a couple of things here. The song ultimately was inspired by John Lewis, hearing an interview that was done with him, and it was on the eve of the 50th anniversary of the March from Selma, hence the 50 that's mentioned in the chorus. But what struck me when I heard that interview was that all those years ago it was a march that got started, but it's up to us to finish it. And especially today, he talked about the sea of blue was how he described the state troopers on the other side of the bridge, and I was thinking of that today when I was hearing about the Day of Hate, you know, and the proliferation of that kind of resistance. And so I'm going to do that song, but before that I want to do a chant. It was actually a winter solstice chant that I'd originally recorded on my Hark the Dark CD that went with a story that a friend of mine wrote, but over time it's come to mean, I mean, solstice, darkness, it's all about movement and coming through a dark time into the light, and it feels like we are in a very dark time right now. And only by hanging together can we circle back around through. I mean, again, like 'twas ever thus, we've been here before. So I'm going to do the chant to start with, and I sing it through once, and then have you sing it with me, and then sing the song that was inspired by John Lewis. Just like they planned, 600 people walking hand in hand. 2 by 2 they made their way into that bloody fray. We're still on the bridge, 50 years gone by. Still on the bridge, looking hate in the eye. We can't cross the bridge until we turn them around. Let's try that again. Oh, we're still on the bridge, 50 years gone by. Still on the bridge, looking hate in the eye. We can't cross the bridge until we turn them around. Oh, silent marchers, Montgomery bound. The right to vote, their common ground. Selma behind, what lay or dead would leave 3 people dead. Oh, we're still on the bridge, 50 years gone by. Still on the bridge, looking hate in the eye. We can't cross the bridge till we turn them around. Ooh, boy, well, on to the Edmund Pettus Bridge and the angry blue sea at the bottom of the ridge. Old Edmund was a Klansman, and here's the shame: the bridge still bears his name. Oh, we're still on the bridge, 50 years gone by. Still on the bridge, looking hate in the eye. We can't cross the bridge until we turn them around. Oh, 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 oh. Selma to Montgomery, it can't be measured in miles, you see, but in the courage to stand our ground and turn this head around. Oh, we're still on the bridge, 50 years gone by. Still on the bridge, looking hate in the eye. We can't cross the bridge until we turn them around. Yeah, we're still walking, still on the bridge, 50 years gone by. Still on the bridge, looking hate in the eye. We can't cross the bridge until we turn them. No, we can't cross the bridge until we turn them. No, we can't cross the bridge until we turn them around. We can't cross the bridge till we turn them around. We can't cross the bridge till we turn them around. We can't cross the bridge till we turn them around. Whoa, 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 whoa. Well, right after February comes March, and then March is Women's History Month. And I learned something when I was living in Michigan. I drive through Grand Rapids, which is the home of Gordon Food Service, which is like a family-owned, sort of smaller version of the Cisco commercial food service. And I found out due to a billboard, I didn't see any Women's History Month billboards, but I did see a billboard announcing that March is National Frozen Food Month. So you have plenty of time to get your cards out. So, you know, a few years ago, when that movie Hidden Figures came out, and everyone was like, oh my God, oh wow. And there are so many. One of the things I'm liking seeing on Facebook are the women that we're finding out about who made such incredible contributions to the world. And there was a woman named Hypatia of Alexandria, who was one of those women, who is just pretty much forgotten, except by philosophy geeks and mathematic geeks who heard of her. But we don't even know when she was born, mid to late 300 AD, but we know she died in 415 AD because she was stoned to death by an angry mob that had been raised up by a jealous bishop in Alexandria. She was a brilliant mathematician, philosopher, astronomer. She taught at the Library of Alexandria. She had many, many followers. The leaders of Alexandria respected her, it's thought. But we don't really know for sure. But a woman named Kai Longfellow wrote a novel called Flow Down Like Silver that fleshed out this just little skeleton of a life that we know about. If you Google her, it just says, yeah, she was in Alexandria. She died in 415 AD. She was a virgin. That seems to be the important thing for us to know about. And so what do you do? You write a novel, and so a lot of it is made up, but it would have been a very short novel otherwise, and not very exciting. So, so I read the novel, and I got so inspired that I wrote this song in honor of Hypatia of Alexandria and all of the hidden figures that bit by bit we're finding out more about. I'm happy to hear that Hypatia is being talked about more. There's a wonderful children's book out, I think it's called Of Stars and Numbers, where children are being introduced to this being and beautiful illustrations. And so this song has a part for you in it, which will become apparent fairly soon. There once was a gal named Hypatia. She'd beat you in spades if she raced ya. She'd philosophize you to mere smithereens, but not in a way that disgraced ya. Hypatia, that's your part. Try that. Hypatia. Hypatia was smarter than you are. In math and in science, a rock star. No women nor men who ever had been could exceed her in all knowledge thus far. Here we go. Alexandria was in survival, smuggling books from the flames of revival. They hid a whole library, hoping to glean a culture none other could rival. Soon the Christians denounced her as pagan, just an uppity woman to rag on. But so many citizens thought she was keen, the powers that be had to wag on. Hypatia. So they whispered that she was too damn proud. Then they poisoned her pals in the royal crowd. They cornered her cruelly and staged a mob scene with pottery shards and a voice loud. Hypatia! They killed her for no earthly reason, except some vile priest found it pleasing. A sentiment that to this day is often seen on women, it's still open season. Hypatia! So here's to all the gals like Hypatia. It's high time that we truly embrace ya. No longer forgotten or killed for your genes. We must stop them before they debase ya. Hypatia! Oh, beautiful, brilliant Hypatia. Some guys came along and replaced ya. You're too soon forgotten, your slate was wiped clean. The his and the history erased ya. Hypatia! So now we must sing of her splendor to women and girls, though still tender. For with knowledge we triumph and thwart the obscene, and so in this way we befriend her. Hypatia! Don't forget to remember Hypatia. We're going through a lot of backlash right now, it seems like, about a lot of things in our culture and even around the world. The first 2 days of when the Me Too movement kind of busted open, I was driving across the country and listening to a lot of public radio and hearing the stories. And I was feeling really hopeful because it's a healing crisis, you know? Suddenly, it's like, wow, maybe we can finally talk about this stuff and parse through it and come up with a different way of living together and treating one another. And it was naive of me, I know, but there I was, and I wrote this song on the third morning that I was out on the road. And I still feel hopeful because there are a lot of us who know what it can be like. And not just women, but also men, and that's what gives me the hope. On my little bag over there, I have the words, "We should all be feminists." there was a black suffragette named Daisy Elizabeth Adams Lampkin. She was born in 1898, and so she was out demonstrating and protesting with the women to get the vote in 1920. She would have been, I think, 18 then, and she lived to see the Voting Rights Act passed. She lived that long life, and but in her younger days, she has this incredible quote. And I mean, of course, it was about women's suffrage, but so many of the suffragettes actually worked in the abolition movement as well. I mean, they're all tied in there together, equal rights, human rights. And she said, "You cannot be neutral. You must either join with us who believe in a bright future or be destroyed by those who would return us to a dark past." There's a little echo you can do in this. Took a long, long time, took a long, long time to lead to the meanness. Took a long, long time to turn the gray into black. It took a long, long time to put a voice to the anger. It took a long, long time, but now there's no turning back. It was a long, long road. Walk behind and be silent. It was a long, long road to carry all that pain. It was a long, long road, but now that journey is ending. Yes, it was a long, long road. We'll never travel again. No, never again. It takes a long, long time. Turn the shame into power. It takes a long, long time for every voice to be heard. It takes a long, long time to break a system of violence. Oh, it takes a long, long time to put it all into words. While there's trying to put it into words. A long, long view to build a bridge for our daughters. It takes a long, long view to give a choice to our sons. It takes a long, long view to not forget what the price was. Oh, it takes a long, long time to know the work's never done. No, never, never done. It took a long, long time. Our voices together. It took a long, long time, but now we walk hand in hand. It took a long, long time to break this terrible silence. Oh, it took a long, long time to come to understand. We were all just trying to understand. It took a long, long time. It was a long, long road. It takes a long, long view. It takes a long, long time. It took a long, long time. Oh, it was a long, long road. It takes a long, long view. Oh, it took a long, long time. Yes, it took a long, long time. It was a long, long road. It takes a long, long view. Oh, it takes a long, long, long time. But together, I believe we will see our way through. Yeah. Thank you. My mother was a feminist. she wouldn't have really said that, maybe later in life, but earlier in life, definitely not. But she lived in such a way that gave me choices that deeply affected the decisions I made, like supporting my life as an independent musician, going out into the world in a very non-traditional role. And in fact, I remember saying to my mom when she was older, you know, I think if you'd lived in a different time, you would have been a lesbian. and she just kind of went. It was so funny. It was just so great. Well, so she died 10 years ago this past January, and January 29th. And I wrote a song. I'm going to do a couple of songs here. She died 10 years ago, and my father died actually on March 4th. It'll just be a year next week. The good army man that he was, he died at 7 p.m. sharp on March 4th. And both of them, who were incredible supporters and fans of mine, sort of, I feel, gave me songs close to the time of their memoriams. They just kind of let me know that they're still with me. And so I'm going to do the one I wrote for my mom, and then the one I wrote for my dad. So my mom, she was in hospice for a week. I was with both of them when they died, and so it gives you an idea of my mom. She's kind of getting into that non-responsive state. At one point, she sat up and said, "Why is this taking so long?" And then she and then a little later, she sat up and said to my dad, "Don't let those old ladies get their hooks into you too soon." And then she was, and it gives you an idea of my mom. But I just, because that was thinking afterward about how we try to hold on to somebody who is now incorporeal, and the only things we have are things. And that's what led to the writing of this song called Wearing Jane. It's coming on 10 years ago that we laid my mother down to take her deep and final rest beneath the Beaver Island ground. We cried a little, laughed a lot at the wonder of her life, so fully lived as mother, daughter, artist, friend, and it started with a shirt I found and slipped on straight away. I wrapped it close around me as I watched her slip away. I wore it all that night as well. I could not bear to change. I felt that I still held her near, for my world had sweater, to be brief. I wore them and they softened up the razor edge of grief. Her silver heart around my neck, her lovely scarves to friends. A year went by, then more, and I began to comprehend. I smile or laugh, I hear her loud and clear. When I talk to birds or trees or friends, I sense her spirit near. The daughter of a friend once said, "First you're here, then you're everywhere." Such words so wise from one so young still lift me like a prayer. Cherish every day just the way my mother might. And I still wear these things I kept, but I keep my spirit light. The lakes and the trees and the chickadees, true friends and love remain. As long as we can share these gifts, we all are So that was a line. The day after she died, my friend sent me that quote, and I said, was that from Rumi or Tagore? What great mystic said that? And she said, my 8-year-old daughter. So this little melody is one that my mom sent me as well, and I'm going to play it through and then just hum it. It's got no words, just a melody, and you can hum along with me if you like, and think about someone you knew who was here and now they're everywhere. Then I'm going to the song for my dad. Dee, 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 dee. My dad is on his way out. He's getting ready to give us his last words. This is my dad. We gather in close. He says, be sure and get my library books back. Go now with singing, go now with tears, go now with loving, no more pain and no more fear. Tears, tears, go now, loving, loving, no more pain and no more tears. Oh, oh. Your life was holy, your life was complete, your life bore witness to this world so wild and sweet. Oh, go now, we're singing. Go now with tears, go now with loving, no more pain and no more fears. We'll take your kindness, we'll take your smile so clear, we'll take your honesty, pass them on from year to year. Go now. Singing, go now with tears, go now with loving, no more pain and no more fears. Sometimes there's darkness, but then the night breaks through with every tender memory blessed by the joy of knowing you. Go now with singing, go now with tears, go now with loving, no more pain and no more fear. Go now with singing, go now with tears, go now with loving, no more pain and no more fears, no more pain and no more fears, no more pain and no more fears. Go now with singing, go now with loving, go now, go now, go now, oh, go now. Thank you. Just give you a little portrait of who my people were. I'm going to wind up with a song that was my dad's favorite song of mine. Not of mine, but favorite song for me to do. And it goes way back to my very first baby performing experiences, because in Chicago I played a lot at this place called Somebody Else's Troubles. And I would open for Pete Seeger. I'm not Pete Seeger, excuse me. Pete Seeger wrote this song. I would open for Fred Holstein, who was like the house singer there. And so I would sit at the bar. I would do my opening set, and then I'd sit and like watch. It was like going to school, you know, watching performers do their thing. And so, as I say, my 21st birthday, they sort of had a surprise party for me at Somebody Else's Troubles. And it's not like I hadn't tasted alcohol before that point, but for some reason, on that early summer night, I chose grasshoppers as my cocktail of choice. And I was out on the sidewalk, not feeling too great. And fortunately came back in time for Fred, who was oblivious to my state at that moment, who was singing me this Pete Seeger song as a birthday song. So it's always kind of been my birthday song, and it's a song that's been with me about as long as any of the songs I've been singing these 50 years. Oh, devil time, I'm gonna fool you now. Oh, devil time, you'd like to bring me down when I feel low. My lovers gather round and help me rise to fight you one more time. Oh, devil pain, you often pin me down. You thought I'd cry, beg you for the end, but at that very time, my lovers gathered round, helped me rise to fight you one more time. Oh, devil fear, you with your icy hands. Oh, devil fear, you'd like to freeze me cold. But when I'm afraid, my lovers gather round, helps me rise to fight you one more time. Oh, devil hate, I knew you long ago, for I learned all the poison in your breath. But now when I hear your lies, my lovers gather round and help me rise to fight you one more time. okay, I just had this memory come into my head. One of those nights when I sat watching Fred Holstein. It was late and getting toward the end of the night. And one of the things I noticed early on, being 20 years old and very judgmental, when people did the same songs, exactly the same songs in exactly the same order every night with exactly the same pattern. And I would look at them and go, how lazy. and soon to realize that if you were going to play music every night, it was rather necessary that you repeat songs unless you were going to learn an entire new repertoire every day. And so, but I hadn't learned that yet. And so I'm sitting there at the bar, I'm watching it all go down, and he always did this very same encore. He always did Jacques Brel's Port of Amsterdam. And, it's like, fishes and their whores and the sailors and their fish, rotten fish, and, in the Port of Amsterdam. And by that time, he would be, like, really worked up. And, like, he'd be, like, going on his stool like this, and the Port of Amsterdam. And everyone's like, yeah, Fred's doing his encore. And so somebody else's troubles was this long, narrow room. And you come in the door, and then there were tables over here and a bar that ran the length of the room, and then the stage on the other end, and then the bathrooms in a hallway to the side of that. So he's in the middle of the Port of Amsterdam, and this guy comes stumbling in. It's about 2 a.m, and he's not in good shape, and he's making a beeline for the bathroom, and he doesn't make it. And so he throws up right in front of Fred, but the thing is, so Fred ran the club with his brother Ed. Ed comes out, and he's got the mop, and and Fred is completely oblivious. He's like, on the port of the fish head, and the drunks puking on the floor, and he's like singing away, and it's like art and life meshed right at that point. I was at the bar like, oh my God, I lived to see this moment. It was so that's part of it all too. No storm nor fire can ever beat us down. No wind that blows but carries us further on. And you who fear, oh lovers, gather round, and we will rise to sing it one more time, old devil time. I'm gonna fool you now, old devil time. You'd like to bring me down, but when I feel low, my lovers gather around and help me rise to find you one more time. They help me rise to find you one more time. Ooh. Thank you so much. Life was simpler when they only knew 12 songs. It's really hard to decide on a given night. But here's a beautiful one. I just got to sing it in Minneapolis. There's this wonderful jazz pianist I get to work with named Laura Caviani, a composer. And she comes out of a jazz, but a strong gospel tradition, loved Mary Lou Williams. And she wrote this piece. She was commissioned to write it for a choir in Minneapolis, but she and I have been performing it as a duo. And I've just run with it because it's such a beautiful song. It's based on a poem by Langston Hughes. And it goes out to everybody. There are words like like freedom, sweet and wonderful. There are words like freedom, sweet and wonderful to say. There are words like freedom, sweet and wonderful. On my heartstrings, freedom sings all day, every day. There are words like liberty, sweet and wonderful. There are words like liberty, sweet and wonderful to say. There are words like liberty, oh, sweet and wonderful. On my heartstrings, freedom sings all day, every day. And if you had known what I knew, you would know why there are words like liberty that almost make me cry. Oh, there are words like freedom, sweet and wonderful. There are words like liberty that almost make me cry. And if you had known what I knew, you would know why. You would know why.
Thank you so much. Thanks to the Dance Flurry for letting us use the streaming equipment. Yes. Thanks to Dan, who is the right and left hand of old songs. Sitting out in the back. Thanks to all the folks listening at home. Yes, I'm talking to you right there. Yeah. And thank you all for being here. And as you are able and willing, we'd like some help with the chairs, and we'll see you all next time. Be sure to take a cover. Thank you.